good level just as we were talking at lunch and stuff. So tell me about like what you do for a living.
Well, I'm a teacher, a healer, what people would call a psychic or a mystic.
All right.
Yeah.
And so like what is that these days? People have ideas of what a psychic or a healer is. What does that look like in 2021?
Well, we're in a new time dimension.
Okay.
So I don't usually use the old standard for psychic. What I do is I help people to know who they are. What are the lessons that they're learning? Who are they? And how do they integrate and assist themselves in their awakening process, in their healing process, and their spiritual growth. I do that by teaching energy medicine and helping them connect with their guides and their angels, and that they are.
There was a lot that we were talking about before I turned on the camera that it sounded like a lot like counseling.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of like so it's not like if I wanted to like talk to a dead relative, that you might not be the person for that. But if I'm if thinking about changing my life or something, or
yes, well, no, I do communicate with the other side.
Okay,
so
all right.
actually, I'm a medium as well.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
all right. So
Yeah.
so you do that as well.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Mostly, I'm a teacher of all those things.
Okay, so you kind of studied it all.
Mm-hmm.
So when did this start for you? Is this something that you were like? Do you think you were born different, or is this something
Yes.
that you came about? Okay, so you were born
Yes.
different.
Well, but everyone's born with gifts.
Okay, yeah.
Everyone has abilities. It's just that we're not shown what they are. We come in as these earth angels or older souls or star people, and we come into human body, and then we forget who we are. That's part of the agreement. And then if we have people, hopefully, our parents and our community, to help us to learn about who we are and who our gifts are. Because everyone has gifts. Everyone who is here, everyone is here growing in some way, but we all have gifts.
So you mentioned, this is something that I always wonder about. I have the idea that I chose to be here. Do you think everyone chose to be here?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. And like what, I guess, are you saying it's for different reasons for different people, or is it all kind of one reason?
Well, we're here in stewardship to help the planet grow and evolve and heal, and now in this time to bring in the new earth, to be a more compassionate, harmonious, more in alignment, more evolved.
So if you're saying though like that our spirits like chose to be here, are our spirits native to here then, or are we all from somewhere else?
That's a good question.
Is that like not? Is that something that we're
That-
not ready to say, or what?
Well, to back up a little bit from your last question,
Yeah.
when do we choose to be here? When
Yeah.
we're over on the other side, they ask us, the angels will come. Would you like to go to Earth? We need your help. Would you like to come to Earth? Earth angel.
Okay.
And we're like, no, I think I'm okay. I've been there before, and they're having a lot of stuff going on there now, and now.
But
I don't think I wanna
that
go back there.
Can't be everyone though, is it? Because like I kind of feel like there's a lot of people that are just kind of living here.
Well, they're newer souls that are not really from any other consciousness other than they're just kind of newly not awakened, not ready to awaken, or not have no other awareness other than what is the
Right in front
basics
of
and the
them.
physical reality of life
Yeah.
and that consciousness.
And so for you that would indicate that their soul might be newer then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. I've wondered, let me ask you this. I've often wondered, could this be a punishment? For some souls, could they be? For not, maybe not for everyone, but could some souls have messed up somewhere else and then have to be on Earth?
Well, there's all kinds of different beings here, we'll put it that way. But that sounds more like the ego.
Okay.
And it's for millennia on this planet. We've had, look at wars, suffering, plague, poverty, so, abuse. So when you come down here and get into that consciousness, or you're not aware, you're not setting the energy for yourself, you don't know who you are, you're not connecting to something higher, it's easy to be in that state of mind and create the hell and live in it and
well, one of the reasons I asked,
believe it's a punishment.
Well, one of the reasons I asked, though, is like, even if you can put everything right in your life and live the most amazing life possible, there's still pain every day. Like, even if it's just hunger, like, you still get hungry, you still get cancer, you still have, there's still people, the rich people that get divorced or their kids die, and like, even the people that are living the best lives ever, like one example out of billions would be like Eric Clapton. His son died. I mean, it seems like it could have, it's like the Earth hasn't been fun for him either, but he's a rock star. So it's like, who is I don't know, like, I guess that's why I'm wondering, is like, who's not here without experiencing tremendous pain?
Yes. Well,
hey, it's Brian from ResultsNutrition.com. Want to give you an amazing deal on the Cleanse and Lean. It's our #1 selling product. Enter Cleanse 50 at checkout and save 50% on the Cleanse and Lean. You got to try it.
what I like to do is come from the mindset that everything is here to help me and teach me.
Okay.
And there really isn't any death. Death isn't a punishment. It's just the body dies, but the spirit doesn't.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, because I have the mindset that everything is here to teach me. It isn't that it isn't painful, but in that pain, I know that there is healing and growth. So I used to run away from it, and I had all kinds of ways of running away from pain, getting into abusive relationships, drinking too much, screaming and yelling and fighting and driving and being, thinking I was right, all the things that people do to get out of pain. Instead, now when it comes, I think it was Thich Nhat Hanh, the Buddha said, when a child is crying, you hold the baby and look deeply into the baby and say, what is it that the baby needs? So it's like looking into myself. What is it that I need? What is the healing? It doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt, but I know that there's healing in that as I move through that, or love myself through that, and find forgiveness or find peace. In everything there's a lesson and a teaching. And as I move through that, then I become in the higher state of consciousness. And then joy it isn't that there isn't pain or suffering, but like during the COVID, everyone was terrified and suffering, and a lot of it, I did go through a process, but as soon as I moved through that, like, a painful process, fearful process inside of me, I found the deepest joy and bliss. And people were still really upset and angry that they were locked in or that they were afraid. And I was like, this is a time and a space where I can be with me and have a relationship with me. And so I had to work with myself not to feel guilty and tell people, like, I'm really feeling great. I'm really like, I moved into that space and I found awakening through that, rather than because pain is always, but suffering is optional.
There's a lot of people trying to tell people the same thing in lots of different ways. As you're talking, I'm thinking of metaphors that go back generations of like there's two sides to every coin. There's a lot of like AA. They say like help me grant me the strength to
grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change.
And it's like you can look at the same exact situation a lot of times in two different ways.
Yeah.
And it kind of
I love that.
It's almost like it's really powerful though.
Yeah.
And it's so powerful to the point of where there's people that experience the same exact thing you did, and that we all did, that committed suicide when COVID happened.
Yeah.
You know, there's lots of stories of people that got so lonely or their marriages fell apart, and you know, like, even like when a relationship falls apart, it's like there's lots of people that kill themselves over that, but it's also a time for new relationships.
Yeah.
There's lots of guys, I might cut all this out, but there's lots of guys, I just want to mention this to you, but I went through like a really bad breakup, and I was just like so in love with her. But there's lots of guys telling me like my life right now is like, they just wish they could live it. They're just like, I'm living vicariously through you. I'm like, are you crazy? You have a beautiful wife, you know, like that loves you, and you get to go home to her every night. And they're like, I just wish that I could just like date whoever I want. And I'm just like, okay, I gotta like focus on that. I'm living a life that a lot of guys wish they could.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyways, let's get back on topic. So let me ask you something that I've never been able to quite get my head around. You mentioned the word ego. And in the context of spirituality, what does ego mean? When somebody says this, you're thinking in your ego, or ego this, like what's the definition of ego?
Well, we all need a healthy ego to be here.
Like what is ego though? Like what is that, like your personality, or is it like?
Yeah, it can be. It's like you have a higher self, and then you have that, you know, that is above you, that is energy, that is always who you are, and then the personality has an ego, and everyone needs a healthy ego. What I like to do with the question about ego is to accept my ego and to maybe not let it drive the bus, but understand that I have the ego and have compassion and allowing for that part of me to be there. Does that make sense?
So would your ego be like the day-to-day self that you show other people then?
The ego wants you to be afraid. It wants you to be defensive. When people are very defensive, like I have a friend and I say, well, let's go, let's talk to this person. Oh, no, I've talked to people like that before, and they're never those kinds of people. So the ego will get you to be afraid, get you to be negative, get you to be defensive, maybe hold on to resentments or anger or things that are really not good for you. It's like another word for lower energies. So we have our higher self, and then because of all the things that have happened to us in this life and in other lives, we carry around these negative tapes, these negative voices or energies.
Hey, it's Brian from ResultsNutrition.com. Want to give you an amazing deal on the Cleansing Lean. It's our #1 selling product. Enter Cleanse 50 at checkout and save 50% on the Cleansing Lean. You got to try it.